What's up, everyone? I'm Paul with Cryptoversity. Got my partner Jason Sondels here. How you doing, man?
Paul, I'm doing great. How you doing today? I see you're in a exotic land.
Yeah, I'm traveling to Costa Rica with my girlfriend, just enjoying it a little bit. You know how it is.
I know there's a lot of crypto people in Costa Rica.
Yeah, I've heard the same.
Yeah.
So listen, I saw a Morgan Stanley video that you did a couple days ago. Thought the content was really good. Did you just want to touch on that again? Because it was pretty solid info.
Yeah, no problem. And if I could please, if you find any entertainment or educational value in this at all, please like and subscribe. It helps us help you. And believe it or not, we are not financial advisors. Always do your own research. So yeah, so the Morgan Stanley thing is just so Morgan Stanley, a little bit of history. For years, they had nothing but bad things to say about Bitcoin and crypto. And now in the last, it seems like maybe 6 months, they've changed their tune dramatically. Um, and the story was all about how three of their top execs have left Morgan Stanley to work in crypto projects,
Yeah.
which goes to show that they see something there, and there's the opportunity for them to leave that cushy job must have been pretty impressive for them to do so. And this is just a trend that I'm seeing a lot of right now. And if we were in a bull market right now, these news stories would be so massive. But since we're in a bear market and people aren't really paying attention, but massive financial institutions are coming in pretty heavy, and they're making the transition from hating Bitcoin to loving it and getting invested in it. Morgan Stanley came out a few days ago and said that they think Bitcoin's undervalued by 28% right now, and they're recommending that all their investors get exposure to this asset class. That's quite a pivot from a couple years ago.
Yeah, that's a complete 180, I'd say. So
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
interesting stuff. A couple days ago, we talked about bull trap, right? Are we out of the bear market or is this a bull trap? And I think I wanted to touch base on the other side of it, right? Like, say we are out because there are some signs that look promising, but not anyone really knows. When do you see BTC hitting an all-time high, and what do you think about this being a bull market?
Yeah, so that's a great talking point, Paul. There's an argument for a bull. There's a bullish argument to be made here. There really is. For one, just institutional investors getting involved is a huge green flag. For example, Coinbase came out with their quarterly earnings. I think it was this morning, and it showed that 75% of their activity was institutional activity, which is pretty impressive considering most people probably would have thought that it would have been 90% retail investors, and it wasn't. It was only 25%. So that means institutional money's coming in pretty heavy. That's very bullish. Another bullish case would be it looks there are certain inflation numbers that are coming in that seem to look pretty positive, like inflation might be coming down. And that would give the Fed a perfect opportunity to pivot in September, right before elections. And if that was to happen, that'd be very bullish as well.
Yeah.
So it's so crazy. Like I can make an argument for either side. I really could. Just for me personally, though, it's the possible black swan events that kind of scare me, like Europe's dependency on Russian oil and natural gas, or the whole thing with China and Taiwan, and the fact that America insists on getting involved in that. So there are definitely two arguments to be made, though, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because this bear market, it's felt a little bit different from previous bear markets, in my opinion. I wanted to get your take on that because I feel like it's totally transformed the way the bear market is, right? And what do you think about that?
Paul, you nailed it. Absolutely. This bear market, it's so unique. For one, we've had like three black swan events that were just devastating. Like Terra Luna blowing up was devastating.
Yeah.
Russia invading Ukraine right as the Fed started increasing interest rates was devastating. It messed up supply chains. China going back into COVID during that whole time, which messed up more supply chains. 30 some odd crypto exchanges going insolvent. These events were massive. And the fact that Bitcoin insists on staying strong around 20,000, it's quite impressive. And it does feel different. It really does. Because the last bear market, which was considered a crypto winter, it lasted years and nobody cared. Like nobody cared. Nobody wanted to talk about it. It felt almost dead.
Yeah.
And this one doesn't feel dead at all. I mean, you got major news channels like Bloomberg has a specialized crypto news channel now. Like all the major players are involved. And what I think is happening what will be the narrative moving into the next bull market, whenever that comes, will be institutional money. I see massive players like JP Morgan, BlackRock. They're getting involved now almost as if to set themselves up for when the bull market comes. And you've never seen that before. It wasn't just, I don't know, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, where the first publicly traded American corporation put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And now there's over 30 some odd of them. So you can see the tides are changing quite fast.
Yeah, I noticed that years ago it wasn't institutional money. It was just, amateur traders and some experienced traders too, just transitioning from stocks and bonds over to crypto, right? But now you're seeing big money pour in and you're seeing a lot more attention even in the bear market. So it's looking more like institutional money is seeing this as a buying opportunity, as opposed to before where bear markets, everyone was just scared of it. It was a scam and, no one wanted to talk about it.
It's not only institutions as far as a buying opportunity, although they are buying.
Yeah.
It's they're getting their, how do I say this? They're getting in. Like BlackRock's getting in, not only to buy Bitcoin and to hold it, but they're getting in as an avenue for institutional investors to go through them to get involved. You have that, and you also have what you have to figure. So BlackRock's the biggest asset under management company on earth. They have $9.5 trillion in assets. They've got insane political pull. I can only imagine now that BlackRock's involved and JP Morgan's involved and guys like Kevin O'Leary are extremely verbal about their bullishness on crypto, that soon a American ETF, a spot ETF for Bitcoin will be passed. And the second that gets passed, that gives every institutional investor a safe avenue to put Bitcoin on their balance sheets without worrying about self-custody or anything like that. So these are the things that are going on. As far as when I say institutional, it's not just buying, it's they're getting in, like I don't know how to say it, but they're webbing themselves in,
Yeah, I think so for sure. And
Yeah.
not only that, you touched on it in your JP Morgan video too, but it's really the underlying technology that they're getting into too, right? Like there's just so much more to Bitcoin than people think. It's not only about investing and making 10x gains and stuff like that. There's real underlying technology and opportunity for like pretty advanced stuff here.
Absolutely. It doesn't stop here. You nailed it, Paul. Bitcoin's not just Bitcoin. It's a network. It's a technology. And, when Michael Saylor and Jack Dorsey left the companies they founded to go pursue Bitcoin technology, that should tell you a lot, because these guys are ahead of the curve when it comes to tech. They have access to the biggest tech brains in the world. So if they are going down that path, that should let you know something. It really should.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's so true. It's really cool and it's super exciting, right? Because people think Bitcoin's been around for so long, but really it's the beginning. It's the internet in 1997, right? You say it all the time, but it's just the very beginning of all of this. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah.
So, man, what do you think? Crypto space, Bitcoin, a lot of amateur investors ask this question a lot. How high can it get? How low can it get? Is there any possible scenario where Bitcoin hits zero?
That's funny you say that, Paul, because when I do meet people, that know nothing about Bitcoin, at least as far as education wise, that's the first question to ask is, well, will it go to zero, or will it go to zero?
Yeah.
There's only one way Bitcoin goes to zero. That's if you turn off the world's internet. You turn off the world's internet and never turn it back on.
Then that's it.
That's it. You know, the first time I got exposed to Bitcoin, it was a mutual friend that we have, right?
Yeah.
I won't say his name, but it was like 2011 or 2012, and Bitcoin was literally less than $1. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And I remember, and he was very passionate about it. I remember saying to him that the world's government will never allow that to happen. I'm never going to invest in that. Like, you know, and I was wrong. I didn't understand the power of decentralization and the fact that governments can't shut Bitcoin down. That's how strong it is. It's decentralized. There's no corporate office. There's no CEO. There's no mailing address. Bitcoin lives in the internet. You know, it's gotten this big without $1 of money being spent on marketing. Not $1. Like, there's nobody works for Bitcoin. Like, it's a self-evolving entity that lives in the internet, written in code. So it doesn't go to zero. We figured that out, right?
That's why it's so beautiful, right? I mean, that's why it's such an amazing asset, because no one controls it. So
it's truly one of a kind, Paul. It's there's no competitor to Bitcoin. And as far as price predictions, I'll give you the best one I can. So at the last Bitcoin conference, there were several groups that were funded by massive players. Like, for example, I'm sure like JP Morgan or BlackRock or MicroStrategy. They go out and they hire these teams, like these MIT teams, and they give them funds to do as much research as possible to put these predictions together. And I think it was, don't quote me on this, but I think there was 10 teams. And they asked each team what would be the price of Bitcoin in 2030.
Mm-hmm.
And the average price was $2 million per Bitcoin. And that's only 7.5 years from now.
Yeah.
I do have an idea that no one's really talking about right now that give you an idea of the explosive price potential in the near term. So right now, there's 19 million Bitcoins in existence.
Mm-hmm.
There will only ever be 21 million. The next 2 million are going to take 117 years to come into existence. Out of the 19 million in existence today, only 2 million are for sale on exchanges. People who own Bitcoin do not sell it, right? So we're going to, in April of 2024, we're going to have our next Bitcoin halving, which cuts the production of Bitcoin in half.
Yeah.
And historically, this has been the catalyst for the bull markets in Bitcoin. And it happens every 4 years. But those prior three, there was no institutional money involved, right? There was a lot of Bitcoin around. This one that comes up in April 2024, I'm pretty sure you're going to hear this narrative a lot. Supply shock, Bitcoin supply shock.
Okay.
Because you remember, Bitcoin's market cap, it's small. Like, in comparison to other things, it's still a baby.
Yeah.
And if there's only 2 million of them for sale, and you've got institutions throwing in billions of dollars at it, it'll become a race. And once supply shock kicks in, then you have panic, and people start panic buying. And from there, you could see where Bitcoin goes from, $40,000 to $500,000. And just to give you an example, so BlackRock just got involved. If BlackRock were to throw, I think it was 1/4%, so just 1/4% of their assets under management into Bitcoin, that puts Bitcoin somewhere around $500,000.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's just one, right?
Yeah, so, and you got to remember, retirement funds haven't jumped in yet. There's trillions of dollars in retirement funds, and of course, anybody who wants diversification in their portfolio is going to want to have this new asset class in there, regardless, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. That's some good stuff. I'm looking forward to those days. Seriously.
They're not, Paul. They're not that far away. I'll be honest with you. If I were to guess, and if I'm getting a conservative, I'm gonna be conservative on this. Let's just say the Bitcoin, historically, the Bitcoin having a year after it is when it hits its new all-time high.
Yeah.
So the last all-time high was at like $68,000. But institutional money wasn't like it is now. Like it was just kind of, right?
Yeah.
You could easily see where a year after the April 2024 halving, you could easily see a, conservatively $200,000 Bitcoin. But but with supply shock, you could see it again much higher, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Totally.
Yeah.
Cool, man. That's some exciting predictions, but backed by some pretty impressive stats. I think that they're more than just predictions. You're basing it on facts. So it's cool to see.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I think we'll wrap it up for today. I appreciate you taking the time. I'm looking forward to it. We'll shoot for tomorrow again and keep on going, brother.
Paul, as always, I appreciate you and enjoy Costa Rica.
I will. We'll talk to you tomorrow, man. Thank you.
All right, you got it, bro.
All right, bye.